What a great turnout, though. And I'd like to say thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming today. It's awesome to see so much of the community interested and wanting to be informed about such an important topic. So I invite you and welcome you to the It Happens in Chico Human Trafficking Luncheon. Now we have a speaker, Stacy, and she's had to live through some of this. And this is her first time coming back to Chico since she's had some awful things happen to her. So please give her a very warm welcome. And Stacy, would you come forward?
I was raised in a Christian home with my parents, and when I was around 3, my parents, they had a divorce, and this was really hard because my dad, he wasn't around a lot, and he was an alcoholic, so he was around, but he really wasn't. I was diagnosed with ADD and dyslexia in the 3rd grade, and from this, I was teased a lot. Mostly in junior high, I was pretty tormented a lot from this, and almost to the point where I tried to kill myself in junior high. And my dad, at this time, he was in and out of jail, and my mom, she was trying to raise 3 kids, and so she had to go back to school. And at the time, AOL and internet and chatting was kind of the thing. And so I started, one night, a man popped up on AOL and asked if I wanted to meet him. And he lived here in Chico. At that time, I was a 14-year-old girl thinking a 22-year-old is interested in me, I must be pretty cool. Or also, I just had really, at that time, just really seeking that attention from people, and just someone telling me that they cared about me and all that was a really big thing. So the next day I met him at a local school here, and he's slowly starting the process of pruning me, and what we use the term called cage. We have a term called a Romeo pimp, and that was pretty much what he was. He started becoming kind of like a boyfriend, and I was living these 2 different lives. I was going to school, going to church, but yet I had this other life that nobody else knew about. And in the back of my mind, I knew what was going on wasn't good, but I was afraid of if I said anything, it was going to be my fault that he got in trouble. So in 2001, my mom remarried a great man, and we moved to Sacramento. And I thought things were going to get better, but things started to get worse. I would come back here, and a lot of time I would tell my parents I was gonna go see somebody else, but I would really go and see him and be with him sexually. And when I turned 17, he started having me meet other men off of the internet. And at first, I didn't want to do it, but he would tell me that you're beautiful and you're just having fun. And at that time, it was never fun for me. I was lying to my family. I had all the fears in school of, am I going to get pregnant? Am I even going to come back? And I remember the first night that I went out, I remember hearing a voice telling me to go back, and that I knew better. And I know now that was God warning me that things were going to get worse. And sure enough, he had me meet around 2 to 3 guys a week. And then he was teaching me how to find these men on the internet. I can go right now and type in just a few words and get IMs popping up within seconds of men looking to have sex with minors. At this time, though, President Bush had just released wiretap, and what wiretap is, it goes into anybody's email, IM, anything, and it tracks it, kind of like how they can bug your phone. And within that 4 months that this was going on, he was actually the first man in the United States that this was used on, and they were tracking him within those 4 months. And they found out once I turned 18. I was supposed to meet up with him, and that day never happened. The FBI showed up at my door and told me that they had arrested him. And remind you, my parents had no idea that this was going on for 4 years. And here all this came undone. And to find out, there was supposed to be another man at the hotel, and he was going to train me into the big sex ring that we see now. And at that time, we didn't know what trafficking was. I mean, we knew trafficking in other countries, but this was 10 years ago. And so they tried to get me counseling, but it was like, I don't even know what this is. How can I even talk about this? And so it didn't take until 2005 when I watched a video on human trafficking. And that was when after I started reading about it and learning about it, I'm like, that's what happened to me. And that was what finally told me this is what happened. And forever I will be grateful to the FBI, but they treated me anything else but a victim. I had wanted to go to the trial, and they changed the date without telling me, and just made me feel like I was the bad one. And for a long time I thought it was my fault, and I know now there's no way. I was a child and he was the adult. So I began the process of trying to go to school, try to go to work. I ended up getting engaged to a guy here in Chico, so I moved back here and just kind of trying to live in that life. And I was living with my dad, and slowly starting to see my life slowly fall apart, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, who she saved my life in so many ways. I ended up moving back to Sacramento with my parents, and it seemed like one thing after the other, things were just kind of piling on, and I didn't want to talk about what happened. I was just, you know what, I'm done with it. I'm done talking about it, so I just stuffed it. And all these things kept piling on. And in 2008, my dad died from liver failure from drinking. And after this, I just went completely numb. I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't feel my daughter. I had thoughts of leaving, and nothing was keeping me there. My mom had remembered Nancy Alcorn from Mercy Ministries coming to our church, and she asked me if I wanted to go. And what Mercy is, it's a 6-month living counseling center, and it's completely all God-centered. And I remember going into Mercy, and I couldn't feel a thing at all. And after a month of me being there, I got to go on pass and seeing my daughter for the first time in a month, and finally I was able to even see myself cry. And that was such a big thing for me, because I just couldn't cry anymore. So when I was at Mercy, I had a counseling session, and we were working on what had happened, and I fought her on it. I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. It's like, let's do it. And I realized that mentally I was still letting him have this control over me, and he wasn't even here to even have the satisfaction of it. So I was like, no, I'm done. And so once I was able, but I realized the only thing that could give me that healing and that freedom was Christ. It was Jesus. It wasn't drinking, it wasn't drug, it wasn't guys, it was Christ that told me that I still had a hope and I still had a future. And so now my goal is to get out and talk about this issue. And it's not just the girl who was snatched and put on the street. It's such a huge realm of and it's not just the foster kid. I mean, I lived in a Christian home that a mom loved me very much, but yet this still happens. So my goal now, I'm starting a pro-profit called the Stacy Project, and basically what it is to help girls to see the warning signs and what to look out for, but also to the parents about how to keep your kids safe. And then, of course, it's the girls afterwards of telling them that they still have that hope. But the other thing I fight for is the justice towards our government, our legislator, and what are they going to do about keeping my kids now safe from this happening more. and targeting the Johns and the guys who are purchasing and having a bigger sentence help happen to them. Now we have Prop 35, which is amazing that it got passed, but we already have so much more that we need to do. But it all starts with you know, what you hear now, to keep awareness, to keep talking about it. And the more we're quiet, we're the voice to those who don't have a voice. Thank you.